thing?
Oh, shoot.
It didn't record.
No, it recorded. It just, when I thought I paused it, but
You
I must
did.
have stopped it. So I'm restarting. So that's okay.
Okay.
I just have to, if I want it together, I'll have to stitch it together, but they probably don't have to be together. So, are we going to continue with San Diego, or are we done with that, or what do we got left?
Yeah, I think we pretty much done with San Diego. Aunt Mary and all the relatives ended up. Aunt Mary never did have any children.
No.
Well, what is kind of interesting is Aunt Mary established this like a banker for people getting their houses started.
You know, let's talk about that, because I'm in on that.
Yes.
And your mom's in on
Yeah.
that.
So
I'm gonna move over into the
picture. Oh,
into
okay.
the picture. Bring myself into the picture.
Well, you better
here.
take a cushion off that one there, and so
Let's
yes.
see.
Are you going to get in it?
Come a little more. Oh,
Turn the camera a little.
I turned the camera
Yeah.
right a little bit.
There you go.
Bring her back here. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, just pull it up. So
Yeah. So Aunt Mary, she
stayed in contact with Marie Willenbring.
So initially you said she funded the Joseph and Katie Gondringer Fischer farm.
Right, in Luxembourg.
In Luxembourg, and that would have been about 1907.
Well, yeah, 1907, about the time my mom was born, right before.
Oh wow.
That's
So
when
she
they
had
bought
money
it.
then.
Yep.
And then I know in 1940, my parents, Bill Fischer, known as William, married Sophie Maddich, and they bought a house in West St. Paul, 127 West Thompson Avenue, and Aunt Mary funded that, and I believe it was $5,000. How much they got from her, I don't know, but I think that's what the cost was. Oh, but prior to that, back up a little bit, my dad came down from Luxembourg, Minnesota, to stay with who you were just talking about, Aunt Marie,
Sure.
Marie Fischer Willenbring. They lived in South St. Paul. I don't know how many kids were there. I know Sonny was there, and there's another video that I have, a live chat with Sonny that's online too. I'm going to put this online.
Sure.
Anyway, my dad came down and stayed with them.
Right.
And what he did is when he left them,
They got to know him.
Yeah, they got to know him good. But he went to San Diego to go to diesel school.
Sure.
And stayed with his Aunt Mary there. So that's how he probably
And Frank.
and yeah, got to know them a little better.
Right.
But he probably knew because he was younger
Frank
than your
died.
mom, right?
Yeah, 2 years younger.
Yeah,
1913 was him.
Yeah, 1913.
My mom
Good.
was 1909.
Oh, okay.
So 4 years.
So he would have been a bit younger than Aunt Mary or whatever, from Aunt Ann, I should say. And so anyway, probably got to know them a little better when he was out there. So,
Sure.
So then she was amenable to lending him money.
Knew he was trustworthy. And,
that. So then I'll just kind of skip forward real quick. Then my wife Margaret Hayden, who's a descendant of the Mayflower. I don't know if you guys knew that, but the Haydens came over on the Mayflower.
Really?
We got a big thing. I mean, that's off the subject here, but it's kind of interesting. So she's a kid of the Mayflower. So she made my kids
a pilgrim.
From the Mayflower, and that's an interesting story too. And we have one of her cousins did something about that, so we have all sorts of good information about that. Anyway, Margaret Hayden Fischer and I built a house at 7010 Angus Avenue East in Invergrove Heights in 1977. In fact, Sonny Willenbring, Marie's oldest son, was in cahoots with my dad. They had a construction company called Alroy Construction. They were always going to do something at 127 because my dad was losing that place because it got all built up around there and he couldn't afford the taxes anymore. He built a new house in Mendota Heights, which the Willenbrings built.
Okay.
And anyway, and I loaned my dad money for the lot because I was still living at home and working at UNIVAC and making a lot of money because I was working 58 hours a week, 10 hours a day, 8 hours on Saturday. That was my normal
So
work
he
week.
paid you back when he sold his other place?
So when he sold his other place, then he was going to put that money against his house. And I says, Dad, that's not a good idea. I mean, he was already 60-something. You're not going to outlive your 30-year loan anyway. Why put money against it? Loan it to me. I'll give you a monthly payment, right? So he did that. So I took my $5,000, I think it was 5, it might have been 8, something like that, off the top, and then the rest was a loan to me for building my house. I also got some money from my brother, and then since I was working so much, I didn't have time to spend anything. And
you had a nice savings account.
I had a good savings account, and I never bought a new car or nothing, you know. So we had. So we built this house. Well, and I thought sometime I'm going to have to finance this because I'm going to run out of money. Well, towards the end of it, I started to run out of money, and I was talking to your sister Jane, and I says, I need $12,000 to finish my house. I'm going to have to, go get a building loan or something, to do that. And she says, I have $12,000. She wasn't married yet. I'll borrow it to you. Oh, okay. So she did that. So then now comes we wrote it down and everything, and so I paid her, I think, 8% at the time, and so then the next year, your mom, I think Jeff East had passed away already. What year did you remember? What year he passed? But
let's see,
so
70, about 74.
Okay, so this would have been 78,
73 maybe.
So Jeff and Ann East owned not a condo, but a apartment building down in Florida, which they sold on a contract for deed. And your mom was using that money to live on. Jeff had passed away, so she's using that money. Well, the guy must have been making pretty good cash, and he says, I'm going to pay you out, on your... So she must have been talking to my dad, says, I got this cash, I don't want the cash, I want the income. My dad must have said, Donald needs money. Loan it to him. So she did. So your mom borrowed me $12,000. I gave it back to Jane plus interest, and then so we had a contract. So my brother had given me money, my mom and dad had given me money, and your mother gave me money for our house. So I never got a real loan on it, which is good,
I think there was a family history there because
so that's a big family history. That.
We think it started with Aunt Mary, but I think it started way before her.
I suppose probably over in Switzerland.
It's probably the way people finance
all the
properties.
time.
So
and they were financial
expected.
people, right? I mean, that's what the Swiss were.
And it's just kind of expected, I think, of the family to get money and loan it out.
I mean, that was my
there
first.
There were no banks.
That was my first priority. Who am I going to pay? I mean, I was never laid off, so I always had the money. Well, Aunt Ann was the first one. All the time, and it was only $100 a month or something for 20 years, but and it was pin money to her, but she liked the letters. Margaret and I would always write her a letter every month, and put that in with the check, so that was good. And then when Nick went to buy his house to get a better loan and stuff, he needed more cash on hand to make it look like he had, so I think I loaned him like $10,000 or something.
So it looked good.
But so then he got better financing and easy financing and stuff, and then within a few months he paid me back on that.
Perfect.
So it worked out. So there's a big family history here.
Also
as far as
Marie.
we know, okay, what happened with Aunt Marie then?
So Aunt Marie, your dad spent time after he moved off the farm in Luxembourg. He spent time with the Willenbrings, with their 10 kids.
Although there weren't that many at that point. I don't know. So
Aunt Mary would also come and spend time with the Willenbrings in South St. Paul, and a real nice house came up in, I don't know, in the mid-50s, was it about?
Oh, really? On Fifth Avenue? Fifth Avenue house?
The last one they were in.
Big
so
brick,
that came up, and they wanted to buy that house, and Aunt Mary gave them money to help buy that house.
I didn't realize that one.
I think your sister told me that.
That could be.
No, maybe it could have been Alfred.
Or Alfred or Sonny.
Yeah, one of those two, or Mildred. One of the Willenbrings says, they remember Aunt Mary had something to do with the little bit of
so she really spread her money. And then I remember also.
Well, by that time her husband was dead. Nick Weber had died. I think not by 1930. So when did your mom and dad
from
get married?
A gunshot wound?
No. Well, he was an old man. I mean, by the time they got married. She was 46.
Oh, that's right. She was already fairly old.
So
right?
he must have
they
been
weren't
50.
having kids anymore. Yeah.
No, he must have been 50, and that was in 1921.
Oh, okay.
So by 1931, he would have been 61.
Yeah.
And I think he died right around in that. When did your dad get married?
My mom and dad got married in August 1940.
Oh, yeah. So by then, he was dead.
Oh, so he was dead.
And that's why Aunt Mary probably was more amenable to loaning money out.
Right, because
he's not around.
Yeah.
It was his money, probably, or she didn't have to get permission.
Right. And then she must have passed away around late 1950s. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember, and I'm just guessing that this happened, is my daddy worked for Champion Chevrolet, I think, back then, or just was starting. Anyway, he brought home a brand new 58 Chevrolet. And so this is still the money part of the family. So he bought this 1958 Chevrolet station wagon.
Oh,
it was a station wagon.
Well, that's right. I remember riding in the back of that. The back.
So he bought that, and then the next year, I think, or 2 years later, he had it for a while, he sold that to his brother Joe. So Joe got that. That was a 58. So then he bought a brand new 60 Kingswood wagon, which was a big wagon, and that had a back
seat too, yes.
seat, right? So anyway, a couple years later, after that, he sold that to Leonard Waltz, because Lenny had a fairly good-sized family. So he sold that, and then he bought a new 63 Chevy Impala, and he sold that to Aunt Ann.
Oh yeah, I remember. That was a nice car.
That was a gorgeous. When she got rid of it, it was still like brand new. She never drove anywhere, If she drove to church, it was 2 miles or.
Exactly.
Nothing. So there was that history too, and I think that money came from Aunt Mary's will. He probably got that and bought his first brand new car and parlayed that through the family.
So when Aunt Mary died, the rumor is she had no kids.
Yeah.
So all her nieces and nephews, we think, got about $700.
Oh, okay.
In 1957, and they bought stuff then.
Yeah, bought stuff. It was just enough to put it over the edge, buy a new car.
Because I know my mother and dad loaned money to Christine, her younger sister, and Johnny Walls to buy their farm in St. Joe. Farm. Yeah, so they helped finance that. So like I say, there was a family history in loaning family members, getting them started.
Yeah, yep.
But they had big families back then, so they had a lot of things to do.
Yeah, a lot. Spread that out a lot. Yeah.
So I want to just mention that we had a lot of old pictures that were really pretty classic. Back from the turn of the century.
Yeah.
We've got a picture of Anton Fischer 2 years before he immigrated with his family.
Okay.
And at that time, Joseph was only 6 years old or so, and he's in the picture.
Yeah, you have posted that on your Google site, I get to see that. That's really cool.
You can go, anybody that wants to can go on Google and request, let's see, can you get into it? I don't know, you might have to be invited. If you really want to see, I put all the pictures that I had, probably about 40 of them or 50 of them, and I also included my mother's book that she wrote about her growing up. And that's all in a Google album that anybody can access if they have the
permission,
the link for
the link. Okay, yeah.
And or invite. And if you send me or text me or email me.
What's your email address, Bill?
It's strei006 @yahoo.com.
You sure it's not WM Streit?
That is a private one.
Oh, sorry, I didn't say that.
I have 4 email accounts. I have one.
I think that's the one
personal,
with the link.
I have the ones with personal friends.
Yeah.
And ones that people I don't really know, then I'll give them that other one.
Okay.
But if I check them, so if I get a notice from anybody on it, I will get back to you and get you the link so you can access all the ancestry data, the pictures.
Yeah, those are really good pictures.
The Fischers and the Gondringers, way back, the earliest pictures were like 1885, before they emigrated.
I was surprised how good those pictures were.
Exactly.
Why are they so good?
I have no idea, but we have pictures of both the Grossman family 1888, and also of the Fischer family, 1885.
Gun
Pictures
ringers.
that are, yeah, Gondringer and the Fischer ones, and the quality is unbelievable.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I goes, how are these so good for
Yeah.
being so old?
I don't know.
Yeah,
They are very good. And then I have a lot of other pictures there of the older family. From 1913, there's a picture of Joseph Fischer's family in front of the farmhouse that they bought in Luxembourg.
In Luxembourg, yeah.
And on that picture is our grandfather, our great-grandfather, Anton.
Oh, our great-grand.
Yeah, he must have been about 85 at the time.
I have a picture of that also in front of the same house with my grandfather, Joseph. And me, I was probably 4 or 5 or something.
Yeah.
I remember that because I wasn't in a lot of pictures.
So anyhow, you can get access to that. Anybody, a relative that wants it, I can get it to them. But in my research, I came across some very good stories. And this book here was the one that I got all the information about Anton and Avon, his history in Avon. It's just called
Nestled between lakes and wooded hills, the
Yeah.
centennial history of the Avon area.
It's an excellent book of the history of.
Who's that by? Jeanette Blonigan?
Yeah, a
Clancy?
relative of Harvey's.
Really?
Yeah.
of Harvey's?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's-
Harvard, Mildred
This
Willenberg's
lady
husband.
has done a tremendous job with this history. If you want to know anything about the early history of that part of the area, it'd be worth reading. I bought the book because I thought it was so good. You can buy it for $20, I think, on Amazon.
Oh, cool.
A lot of people own it. And from that, when I got involved with reading about the Anchor Ranch, I found that book that I read was the book of the short stories of William Wade. Is called Paha Saha Tahawahi. And the reason it's called that was the Indians gave him that name when he went out west and he spotted the Black Hills.
Uh-huh.
And he thought it was the Rocky Mountains when he saw them. So he goes, the Rocky Mountains. And the Indians laughed and gave him this name because this means Black Hills, I think,
Black
in
Hills.
Indian or in Dakota language. So the name of the book is Pawa Saha Takawaki. I'll put it up here so you can hopefully see the title. And you get it out of, there's 3 libraries in Bismarck. You want the public, I think it's the public military library that it's in. But you can call all 3 of them or send a request in and find who actually has the book. And they will mail it to your library and you can check it out with your library card.
Wow.
Yeah, for free. It'll take about a half a week to get here, but I've done that. But anyhow, after I read his book, he talks a lot about the Indians and what's happening on the Missouri River. This book here is excellent. It's all about the history of the Mandan Indians, who were very prominent Indian tribe during the 1700s, and they were the ones that were doing the corn farming, and they were not nomads. They were the ones that the Lewis and Clark called them civilized, and they didn't refer to them as savages. They're a different type of Indian that they had never encountered. Very civilized people, and this is the book of their demise, their whole history, and it's very well done, worth the time to read, very entertaining, I thought, and the 3 reasons why the Mandans are not here anymore. Let me just tell you, rats had something to do with it. Besides the smallpox, or what did they get?
Yeah.
They got the pox that killed them.
Yeah.
Was it? Oh, it wasn't small. Was it smallpox?
I think so. Yeah.
Smallpox. Yes.
Yeah.
They had 2 rounds of smallpox. They had rats that killed them off, and they also had the Sioux Indians ended up finishing them off.
Wow.
Back in the mid 1800s or so, or a little after that.
So did we cover everything? All your notes?
I think all the books and the notes, yeah, and all the information you need to know.
Uh-oh. I don't know what that ding was. Or is that yours?
My phone.
Okay.
I was trying to think, was there anything else about Aunt Mary? No, I think we talked about her loaning.
Yeah.
So she actually, so in that, if you contact me and you get into my pictures, her obituary is listed there, and a lot of this information is in her obituary.
Oh, really? I don't know that I've ever.
Yeah.
I'll have to look through again
Yeah,
and see.
you'll have to read, because I
yeah.
published. There's certain things that aren't just pictures. There's actually little stories that go
Yeah.
with it. The story of the gunshot.
Uh-huh.
The story of let's see, of Aunt Mary. Well, I shouldn't say story. It's Aunt Mary's obituary. Peter is his obituary, or his wife's obituary was in there. Josephine.
Oh, from Iowa. No.
Josephine. I don't know where she was actually from, but he met her out in North Dakota when he went out there.
Oh, okay.
That was his wife after he shot. What's his name?
Yeah.
Nick Weber.
Oh,
So
okay.
I never
Okay.
knew
I
how
was thinking
how
Nick,
well.
but it was the
It would have
brother.
been interesting to see how Nick Weber and Peter, that first encounter, 25 years later. You know what? Oh, geez, I'm
at
really
the
sorry.
at the wedding or
Yeah,
something, huh?
I'm really sorry I
Yeah.
shot you. I mean, I didn't mean to pull the trigger. It just went off
Yeah.
when I shook the gun. And who knows? That could have been what
Yeah, it
happened.
could
Who
have
knows
been.
what happened?
Yeah, just trying to scare him off, right?
Yeah,
Boom.
it discharges and shoots the guy.
But today or I guess yesterday the Supreme Court said, yeah, anybody can carry a gun. What the hell?
Yeah, guns
We don't
are
have enough shooting.
Guns are an issue.
They are an issue. We shouldn't get political here, Bill.
No,
So is that it? Shall I
that's it.
pull the pin? All right. Thank you, Bill, very much. This was really entertaining. I'm glad it came up.
All right. And we recommend
Yeah.
Arizona Half Light, and
Yeah.
what was the name of that ice cream cone? Did you like
Oh,
it?
the ice cream cone. Yeah, it was
Okay,
good.
so that
yeah, what
is
kind of ice?
cookie dough ice cream that
Oh,
you buy at
cookie dough.
Aldi for $2.
Oh, you're
It's
kidding.
unbelievable. Yeah, I eat a cone every day.
All right. That's it. Bill signing off.